Welcome back to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
I didn't realize what shirt I was wearing until just now. I looked at myself, I'm like, what shirt am I wearing? This is called Put on a Shirt You're Not Taking to Boston, so you can wash all your clothes in preparation to go to Boston. I mean, I like this shirt. My brother gave it to me. Mariachis of New Mexico.
Yeah. In northern Mexico.
It's cool. We are Back. It is...
It's May.
It's May. Happy May. We're recording a little earlier than the weekend because I am out of town.
In my mind, I'm already there.
In my mind, I'm already there. I took today off. It's Thursday. I took today off. I feel so indulgent. Just so I could do stuff and get ready instead of staying up all night tonight, which I'll probably still stay up all night.
Yeah, well.
I hope not. But I have to get on, I have to leave for the airport at 3-ish.
In the morning.
In the morning. So it really doesn't matter if I stay up all night, I guess. Anyway, I'm taking a break between laundry loads to come here and record. So, am I going first? You said I was going first? Okay. Well, what I did this week, I did work on Hannah's sweater a little bit, but I made this little pig. Here's a close-up picture of him. The reason I made this little pig, he's a pattern out of this book called Mini Knitted Farmyard by, I don't know how to say her name, Sachio Ishii, Japanese knitter. It's the cutest book. It has, see, there's the pig.
Yeah, I think I remember
And I made some sheep out of this for just because I liked them. And the sheep is mostly, where's the sheep on here? I think it's on the back. The sheep is mostly why I bought this book. It's got everything. You can make farmers and cows.
That little herd of pigs eating.
This is the cows. Yeah, here's the pigs that I made. The reason I made pigs is in our, recently we moved offices, and in our, previously on the other side, what we call north of the lobby, or NOLO, we were, in marketing, we were spread out, like, two of my colleagues were next to each other, and then I was a bit away, and then our boss was, kind of, there was a cubicle between me and her, and then her office. So we were a little spread out. And then when we moved to the new side, it was our boss's office, and then boop, 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 the three of us. And I'm like, we're like the three little pigs. And the young ladies I work with thought that was hysterical, and so I'm like, all right, fine, I'm going to knit three little pigs. So this is one of three. And I started, okay, here's a newsflash. I was like, I'm going to knit these pigs. And I looked all over the house for this stupid book, and I finally found it. And I was like, okay, I probably have pink yarn. Apparently, I don't buy pink yarn. I had not a stitch of pink yarn. Now, a while ago, I bought it Hobby Lobby when they used to sell yarn. They still sell yarn, don't get me wrong, but they used to sell a lot better. They had nothing, and then they had really great yarn, and now they're going back to
Nothing.
Well, it's not nothing, but not wool. They had these sets of 4 different colors. It'd be like a theme or something, and I bought several of those with different colors to make those the little animal, like the Claire Garland animals. Because it's fingering weight, and they were 4 little balls, and it was just enough. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking, and I have them all in one tray in my box, and I was like, surely there's a pink in there, like a flesh color, like a pink. Mm-hmm. Nope. And so I was looking, and I needed DK weight, and so I was looking through my stuff, and I found this, which is pink-ish, but it's really not pig color. Yeah. But I was like, well, I guess that's okay. I can try and make a pig. Where is it? Here it is. So I started, this is my learning pig. But he's so pink. He's so...
Salmon-y.
Yeah, he's so salmon. So
That does not look like a pig.
It doesn't look like a pig.
And mostly because of color.
Well, yeah, mostly because of color. So the next, I don't know. So I made it to see how it was made, and I was like, okay, I understand it now. And then I had even gone so far as to make the ears, and but I was like, well, that's not really pink. How hard could it be to find pink yarn? So I went to Jonan's one day, and I was like, I found this nice baby pink. It's like a dusty rose color, and I thought that's a good pig color. And then they just embroidered the eyes and nose with, actually that's the dark brown of Hannah's sweater. The French knots are not great, but everyone loved him at work.
It's still cute.
He's so cute. He came out really cute. So that's mostly what I did this week. And I am getting my knitting bag all ready. I put my knitting light. Look, it fits in here. Did I do this last week? I think I might have shown you this last week.
Yeah,
This
I
is
think
my-
so.
You
my
showed
knitting
us,
light.
but I don't think you showed.
No, you showed
on
them.
camera.
Yeah,
Oh.
so, because I
I wasn't
like,
paying attention.
yeah, no. That's okay. That's okay. I tune out when you talk to. No, this is for like straight knitting needles, and so I put that there. And here's everybody that's going to Boston. I am proud of myself because I have not spilled the beans about this bear. This bear is 100% surprise to her.
Unless she watches the video.
I know she doesn't watch the videos, so it's okay. She loves me, but she doesn't watch the videos. And then, the 4 pairs of socks are ready to go. These are going to my daughter's string quartet. So, Hannah's, the cellist, the other violinist, and the viola. So here they are, ready to go. And I did do one other thing. So I did work on Hannah's sweater, but not very much more than what you saw last week. But I did the preliminary swatch last week, and so actually this morning, I decided to start on swatch number 2, which is ribbing, and then you do ribbing for 2 inches, and then you do garter stitch. And I started it, and it's pretty good. You have to be careful. They really look at, like when you do ribbing, one side, the stitch right before you switch from knitting to purling can be loose. And if you can see, this stitch is bigger than that one. See how this one's a little looser? It's not bad, but it could be better. And so I decided, you know what? I'm not going to finish this whole swatch and then be disappointed. Actually, the reason I stopped the swatch was more this edge here. It did not look good. I'll take a close-up of this. So this was the beginning of my my swatch number 1. And I just wasn't super happy with and see this first stitch here on this edge is really messy. And so it was 5:30 in the morning, so maybe that's why. But anyway, so this is the beginning of swatch 1, and part of it is just practice. So I took a look at this, and I was like, it's okay, but I can do better, and so I'm not going to finish the whole thing. But anyway, I did do that, and that is literally all I've done. I've had a busy week, and it's a short week, and...
Why don't you go ahead and go, Beth?
Okay.
And that's it, and that's me.
Because I'm concentrating and I don't want to stop.
So I was working on the swans and the stop.
I have to
And
say
the
goodbye to him, so... Here, he can sit with the pig. There you go.
piglet.
I know. Somebody said, is that a piglet? Is that a pig to go with the Pooh Bear? I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. But no. Actually, she has a pattern for Piglet.
Piglet would
He's
be a good
taller
addition.
and skinnier.
Yeah.
I like Piglet.
So I was working on the swans, the Year in the Woods swans from Cottage Garden Samplings. And, excuse me, last week I think I had just started on the cabin, so I finished that. Matter of fact, I just put in the windows just a few minutes ago because I had gotten everything else done on it, and I not gotten around to doing the windows. But so I finished the windows, and the swans themselves. I'm sorry, this is all wadded up and wrinkly, but the swans themselves are all but done. All that's left to go is these blank spaces. Is this gold color? But the sort of rosy, pinkish, whatever color, and the bluish color are all done, and all the white. And all the, they're sort of a yellowish, the same color that's in the windows here outlines the swans and everything, delineates the sections of feathers. So all that's left is in the blank spaces is the gold color. And then there's just I did a little bit of the white. There's a like white that represents the lake that they're on. And I just did this till I ran out of thread, basically, ran out of the white thread. And that's the bottom of the pattern is that white circle that's underneath them. And then up here in the top is a whole bunch of like trees and pine cones and things like that decorate this upper corner that I'm probably not going to work on. But so this, I hit the goal of 7 days sometime during the week, I think, or like maybe Tuesday or something, and then I just kept working on it since it was the end of the month, and so that's all but done. And then of course. The next one on the agenda is the jackrabbit, and this is, I showed it last week. It's just, I'll start on the flowers on it. But so now I have to make sure that I've got all the threads that it calls for, besides the I have the fancy floss that it calls for, but there's several DNC colors that go in that, so I haven't done that.
Do either of you have an emery board handy?
No.
Uh-oh. I don't know that
That's
I
okay.
have one handy.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
So then the other thing I worked on, since it's a short week this week, is
It is your fault.
the Rabbit May. And actually, let me take this out of the hoop so you can see it better. So I actually did kind of a lot, just working on it. Yesterday was the first, and we went shopping because it's the first Wednesday of the month and it's senior day, and sadly we're seniors. So
I think I can do that.
But it was
Yeah.
but it was good because I when I looked at the receipt, and we saved like, I don't know what, $100 and something.
That's nice.
Yeah, between the senior discounts and the coupon discounts, and I had a coupon that says, if you spend $170, you get $17 off or whatever. So yeah. Anyway, so I worked on this a little bit, and I had, when I picked it up, I had like this flower in the corner, and these two diagonal lines, and the rabbits, and a few of these little random sort of flower things. So I did all the stuff in the center, the green stuff, and then the darker maroon, it's mulled wine is what the color is. These are Gloriana silks, and I'm doing one silk thread over two on this fabric, and this is mustard. It's merino crochet, 32 count, that Hobby Lobby used to carry once upon a time, mustard. And I really like the way the colors are showing up on there. They're really looking really good. And then, so now I'm working on another rabbit down here on the bottom. And also, this fabric is sharing territory with the November Rabbit. And this one, this brown thread on there was, I guess last time I worked on it, I had left the thread on there, and it was, it was really long. So I just, because I didn't want to like, I was getting it tangled up in the thread that I was using for this one. So in order to, I just finished that thread. So I did a little bit of work on the November rabbit, which is this one here. So I thought, well, whenever I choose November to come up, I will have done a little bit more. So anyway, so I'm working on this one right now. So that is it. That's it.
Okay, that didn't give me enough time, but okay. All right, so right now, I kept looking at my cross stitch projects and went, but I want to start a little dog for me. So I did this one.
Is he upside down and he's laying on his back?
Yeah, in the picture he's laying on his back. This one is Little Biscuit. It's in the same pattern. And this, I tried to remember who it's by. Nothing says who the pattern designer is, and it is different from who sold it. The only time you see the name of the pattern designer is when you watch their YouTube videos.
Oh.
And I can't remember. On top of here, it says Tim Magic Ring, and that is not the pattern designer, so I don't know. So I apologize. I have no idea. This is how far I am so far.
Oh, I meant to say the rabbits are ink circles.
This is where I am so far. It's got, this is the little, if you look at him right side up, this little part of his head. Cute. Only, one of the things is that, when you're knitting or crocheting, you have to keep watching that you have this right number of stitches for that row to make sure that everything comes out right. And I don't. I'm looking at this, I'm like, I do not have that many stitches. And so I'm counting, everything that's supposed to be here, and it's still...
Do you have a stitch marker so you could keep track of your beginning of round?
See?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'll figure it out. It's not,
You can fudge it.
and when you undo things with this chenille yarn, I mean, it's really soft. I love it. And I've always liked the feel of chenille. Remember Mom had a chenille bedspread?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, if you undo it, like if you make a mistake and have to redo it, half the time I have to just cut the yarn and, start again. Not start the whole project again, but, because it breaks very easily, so you have to be very, very, very careful. Okay, so I did do a tiny bit of work on my WIP-GO, one of my WIP-GO projects. Excuse me. One of my WIP-GO projects for this month, which is imaginatively titled Turtle. And it's a DMC free pattern, or it was on their website a gazillion years ago when I started this. I'm going to flash the pattern again because there's no picture. It's supposed to look like that. Anyway, I had...
It's a free pattern, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go to DMC's website, there are tons of free patterns. And they are labeled easy, medium, hard, I'm frustrated that they don't have a picture that goes with them. But, it's minor. I had this thread somewhere because I used it here. And I used it on other projects. Who knows where it was. And I finally just went, it's one thread. I'm just going to go get it. So I had to do that. But meanwhile, I started filling in some of the bottom part of the jaw. And I realized that the reason I got mad at myself is because this head is one stitch too close to the shell. And then I was looking at it just now and I went, who cares? So I'm not going to worry about it. Now, on this, after I stitch, rather than stitching with the Krynic thread, which is not called for in the pattern, after stitching with the Krynic thread, with the DMC thread, I go back and put Krynic thread over, rather than doing it right away. And that is because in this part of the turtle, it's gray colors. But as you get to the other, this is one fin, and then there's another fin that's going to come out here. That's more green colors and underneath the belly. And so I have different Krynic colors for different areas, and I want to look at it with the threads on there to be sure I'm putting it in the right spot. So that is that. I didn't do a lot of work on it because I spent too much time looking for this stupid thread. Okay. And then, sorry, I'm going to put this down for a minute, just so I can see. Ah! I'm dropping safety eyes everywhere. Uh-oh, where are their backs?
There's one right there.
Yeah, but the back.
Oh.
Here's one.
I
I'll
don't
look
know.
for it in a minute. You need the backs of the safety eyes or they don't work. So there should be 3 other backs in here. Maybe I dropped them over there because these are not where you can reseal them. So, excuse me. So I did a little bit more work on Erica Michaels' Happy Hanukkah. So the menorah's finished, and I did this little swirly thing right here, and I did one of these stars. These stars are equal. It's 2 triangles of equal size overlaid, right? And so it should look the same on all the corners, and it doesn't. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? And I have no idea.
I was wondering, is there a difference between the column width and the row width?
On this, on even weave?
Yeah,
No.
shouldn't be, huh?
Mm-mm. So I did some kind of weird counting mistake, and I didn't finish off the thread because I was like, I don't like it, and if I don't like it, I'm going to fix it. So it's not a big deal, but I had to put it away because it was making me mad.
Time out for you.
Time out for you. I did a tiny bit of work on Corgi and Snow, Maria Bravko. Cute Patterns by Maria. I started putting in the white in his ears. I know you can't see it from here, but I am not quite finished with this part. I don't think. No, I have a couple of stitches and like 4 stitches over here to finish, but rather than doing that right away, because I'd have to start a new thread, I thought I would wait until after I do the scarf, because I use that color again down here, and I might as well wait and do those last stitches. And I was like trying to make the thread last, and I was like, I can't even get the needle in now, so yeah. I had to keep threading it on either side of the fabric, and after a certain point that just didn't work. And then I did more work on hands-on design blueberry berry, and discovered that I was not reading the pattern correctly, because while I'm doing stuff I often look at the picture to see if what I'm understanding is correct. And I noticed that in the pattern there are Smyrna crosses inside the berries, and then there's more around the berries. And I was like, the picture, they're not brown, and I stitched the ones that are up here with the brown. I decided to leave those because they're going to be under the cap, and who cares, right? So the other ones are the off-white color, not the color of the flowers, but a different color, a lighter color. And so that had to go in timeout. Because I was like, that's wrong. Wait a minute. Okay. Who cares? Then this is, there's 3 WIP-GO calls for this month. And so one of them I'm going to work for 10 days in the first half. And another one I'm going to work for 10 days in the second half. And the middle one I'm going to work on all month. And the middle one is 2023 Temperature SAL Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts. And I am needing to finish this. This was my temperature chart that I did last year, and I absolutely love it.
I love it.
And
I'm excited about those flowers, so you do have to finish it.
Yeah, I do need to finish it. Now, if I don't get it finished this month, I will continue to work on it, because I want it done before the end of the year, because, I mean, seriously, right? But, I started putting in words.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this says on this side, my year in temperature. I got a little piece of a T. I didn't finish the T. My year in temperature. And then on the other side, this one says Grand Canyon, Kristen Howe. But I'm going to put Phoenix, which is not going to take up that whole thing, so I'm going to have to center it. And then my name. And then, of course, the 2023 is in the middle. The city name, I don't want to use my last name, but I will. Because it's only hanging in my house, so who cares, right? But it's not going to fit in here the same way.
Can you put Phoenix, Arizona, or AZ instead of just the first name of the city?
To make it fit better, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that might work. And I kept thinking about how I wanted to put some kind of indication of what temperature these colors represent. And I had thought I would put it right here instead of this brown line. But as I was working on the letters, I was looking at it going, I think it would be very distracting from the flowers for that to be there. So...
I'm sorry, I missed what you said. You said you were thinking about doing what?
The guide here of what colors the temperatures represented.
Oh.
So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put it in here because I don't want to take away from these beautiful flowers.
Those flowers. I cannot wait for those flowers.
These flowers are beautiful and I don't want to take away from them. So I might go back to my original idea of putting a color key here. And if and when I frame it, I don't have to have that showing. I just want to be able to remember at some point, you know. I really like this. I think it's beautiful. It's very Southwest.
It's like the best.
Yeah,
best temperature chart I've ever seen.
I think I think it's beautiful. And when it took me a long time to choose another one, and I'm really glad that I did, because we've had another strange year with it being cold and then hot and cold then hot.
Yeah.
But when I first saw people doing temperature charts, I thought, well, that wouldn't really work here. You know,
It'll all be the same, but it wasn't.
because the
It's really
summer would be
interesting.
all the same color. And what you realize is that yeah, by degree it's hot. Like right now it's
Yeah.
hot. Now I didn't work on my turtle temperature chart yet because
It's not Friday.
it's middle of the day Thursday. It's not even evening Thursday. And I had other things I needed to do.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So one of the things is when I went to
Can I see your temperature chart to finish your stitching?
The southwest one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, do you want the picture or do you want what do you
No, I just want to look at this.
So when I went to go get this thread, I realized as I was walking back to go get it, that even though it doesn't cost very much, I have no cash. And I don't want to use my debit card for less than $1. I mean, seriously. So
and it would be lonely.
it would be, yeah.
I'm sorry. This is really cool. I was just looking through the months, and it really is so varied.
Except for July, where it was the entire month was one really
Almost.
nasty hot
Almost.
temperature.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's cool.
I have a couple of patterns that call for 36 count fabric, including like the little rabbit that I bought and a couple of other things that I got. And looking at the designs, I realized that it didn't need to be an even weave. So because I'm more comfortable with 32 count, and I could just make it a different size, but with the rabbit, there's templates to put so that you can make it look like it's supposed to look, right? And I was like, no. So I need to make it the same size. So I got some 18 count. I'm gonna see if I want. I have 18 count white. This is ivory. Now, one of those is not full coverage like the rabbit is. So the rabbit, it doesn't matter what color it is as long as it's the right count. And the other one, I may need to dye it, get the white one and dye it, just to make sure it's something I like. But I got this 18 count, so I would have some options. And that is all that I did.
I know it's a short week.
I had my dilemma about the Prairie Schooler Starry Night, the Bethlehem sequence of, that I had started on 22 count Hardinger and was not
Miserable.
enjoying it because of the way the thread wants to slip under the weave. And I was going through some, the latest round of new patterns. I hadn't put them in my Thread Stash app yet. So I was doing all that. And I came across actually some, I thought about the fabric that I got at Michael's the other day. It was 28 count. There was a white, and then there was the tea dyed thing. But then also, I have I found that I had bought a package of from Hobby Lobby that it's 46 count linen, like the Give Greatly was on. I'm deciding because I looked at the 28 count and I was doing lots of calculations on the cross stitch calculator on Yarn Tree and like technically if you put one of those patterns in there and I thought, well, is that gonna fit, and I think it would now that I've calculated it or whatever. So I think I'm gonna do the Starry Night either on the 46th count, which would make it very tiny, or on the this 28 count because it's like the fabric, the piece of fabric that I have is 20 by 24, and I could always just like maybe go and buy another piece of that from Michael's if I decided that they weren't all going to fit on there, because I think there are only 7 designs, and I think with my calculations and all that, because I'm making I would make them into ornament finishes, I wouldn't need a whole lot of fabric around to finish it, and so I think I'll be able to fit all 7 of them on that piece of fabric that I have. So that solves one of my dilemmas. I just have to decide now whether I'm going to do it. If I have, I don't know that I have that the piece of 46 count is big enough for all 7 of them. So I'll probably do it on the Irish linen one, which is supposedly tea dyed, but the only thing I was trying to decide is if I wanted any kind of modeling on there, because the Irish linen doesn't have any on it. It's just a sort of even that sort of tea-ish color.
Can't you put modeling on it?
Yeah, I could, but if I wanted to.
And that's the thing about like with yarn and with knitting and cross stitch and whatever. What you're using matters. Mm-hmm. People who don't knit, crochet, cross stitch, what have you, they don't understand that any old thread, whether it's pink or not,
right,
is not going to work. And
don't you have that already? Don't you have that? No.
Don't you have yarn
I don't
already?
have this very specific thing that I need for this very specific project.
Right. And like for instance, this Chanel yarn, I had never worked with it before. But that's what the pattern called for. And I decided that's what I'm getting, because what I was looking at, I liked. And if I want it to come out anywhere close to what it looked like, I'm going to have to use that kind of yarn or a comparable one. And I'm talking about thickness more than how soft it is.
Right.
So whenever I teach painting or do painting, I'm like, you do not need to go and purchase, the sable brushes and the fancy paints and all of that. You don't need to go buy that. You can buy the lesser products while you're learning, but those products exist for a reason. Mm-hmm. When you are using lesser brushes, you have to be very vigilant, because the hairs of the brushes just come out. And so you need to be prepared to deal with that. I've used some of the higher end.
Come here, Rogue. Come here.
Come on, baby.
Come here.
I've used some of the higher end paints and stuff, and painting is painting.
Yeah.
It's the picture. But certain paints give you more vibrant color or a thicker, stuff. So you learn as you grow what it is you like.
Right. I remember when Hannah was little, learning to play violin, you can buy $1 million violin, or you can buy a $60 violin from China on, on Amazon. And one of the things I remember reading, because I mean, I'm a musician, but it was different when we were kids, you know. But, and wind players, it's kind of a different thing. But I remember reading somewhere that said, you know, no, you don't want to, you know, spend $1 million on your 3-year-old, but they need an instrument that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it sounds bad, they're going to know it sounds bad, and it's going to be discouraging because they can't make a good sound on some instruments.
Yeah.
That, as they call them, a violin-shaped object. You know, you have to, you want to give them something that has some quality that will respond. Where if they gain the skills to make good sound, the instrument will respond, and that is encouraging rather than discouraging. That you never get beyond the limitations of your instrument. You know, it's kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, when you're just learning a knit stitch, it's one thing, but actually, some of the cheaper yarns are more difficult because they're slippery or
they shred,
splitty or shreddy or you know they shed and like a good, like, I don't know if you remember the story where Hobbs stole my knitting and pulled it out of the bag, and I picked it up and like 6 inches were off the needle. 6 inches of live stitches were just off. But because it was high quality wool and it was sticky and grabby, they were just sitting there waiting for me to put my needle back in. But if it had been acrylic, you know, I don't have anything against acrylic if that's what you want to use, but it just acts differently. And so sometimes when you're learning stitches, you know, like we were saying, use a light yarn. It's the same thing. Like you have to be mindful. But then once you really get into your craft, like Beth, you know, those are all like details that some people would be like, what are you worried about? You know, just whatever. But it makes a difference. Like you had that fabric, which had, you know, was not a bad idea, but for that particular thread, it just was not.
Yeah, for that. Like if I had been doing, you know, something, a different project, but because it was so tiny and I was using one thread.
And you wanted it to look like that. Yeah.
And I was using one thread, and so if I, you know, pulled it wrong or something, it was like whoop underneath there.
Yeah.
And then like, because I was using just one thread and because it was so tiny, it was really hard to fix. And, you know, hard to sort of coax a thread out from under there, and, you know.
Right.
But, and also I remember, I don't think it was this project, but it was some project that, this is a little pillow thing I made for my mother after she passed away. It has a little sheepy charms that I got at Tempe Yarn and Fabric. Fiber, sorry. And, but it was, I don't know if it was this project or a similar project that had this, this has this green fabric from Lady Dot Creates, and it also has chenille from Lady Dot Creates. And I don't know if it was this project or whatever, but the chenille that I had, like, the color was just not exactly what I wanted, or didn't match the fabric or whatever. And so I took the chenille, because it was just cotton chenille or whatever it was, you know, and I just dyed it. I just gave it a little dye bath and changed the color just enough that it, you know, that it matched better. And so, yeah, so like I said, with that fabric, I'm debating, do I want to just, you know, because I thought, well, okay, you know, because it's small and because there's, it's a lot of like black work and a little bit of other colors and stuff. So I thought, well, maybe it would be enough to just have the solid fabric, because I don't want it to be too dark because I'm using black thread, and you know, so I, you know, and I'm incredibly lazy about dyeing. I haven't dyed fabric in so long, but so, and also it's because, you know, it's one of my WIP-GOs for this month, and so
I guess what I'm saying is
debating on whether or not I want to
like,
deal with it.
you know, it's okay to be picky with the materials you use. You know?
And when I said, can't you just make it modeled? So you can take a piece of fabric and with many different things, but just throwing out like a balled up paper towel. You can dab it in something and pat it on your fabric, and then take something clean and pat it off, and you can make modeling. I mean, you have to be careful with whatever you're using. Some people will crunch up plastic wrap, or and the only reason I know these things is because you can do that with paint too. If you're wanting to add texture to a painting, you can wad up something and just, pat it on there, and it adds a texture, especially if it's a slightly different color. And texture for paintings make a huge difference in the way it looks, and without adding lots and lots of other skill.
What I was thinking about for this fabric also was doing something like, one of those little tiny. I have one of those little tiny spray bottles, for
like a travel
water.
one.
Yeah, like a little mister thing, And I was thinking I could put like coffee, in there, and just spray it on there just to give it a little bit of dark.
But you'd have to drink it first. She doesn't like coffee.
I like coffee flavored things, like coffee flavored ice cream and coffee flavored chocolate.
But you don't like coffee.
But coffee by itself, I'm not crazy about. I've tried it once or twice, and I was like, if it has lots and lots and lots and lots, like at church, they have coffee out there, and like maybe a couple of times a year when it's kind of cold, I might make myself a cup of coffee. But it's like I pour a little bit of coffee in there and lots of creamer and sugar free.
I've always liked my coffee to taste like coffee ice cream.
Yeah. It tastes like amaretto or something.
Oh my gosh. Eve, you were a graphic designer, so I'm going to tell you this story. We were working on a brochure, and and the front cover had a picture of our orchestra on it, and I was proofreading it, and I was looking at it, and I was like, who is that concertmaster? I don't recognize that guy. And then I'm looking, and I'm like, he's holding his violin on his right shoulder? And I'm like, what is going on? And then I look, and I'm like, the bassoons were facing this way. I mean, when I'm playing, the bassoon's going to be across me, but if I'm looking at a picture, they're supposed to be facing the other way, right? Like, and I'm like, the bassoons are backwards, and they're sitting on the left side. They should be sitting on the right side. And I realized the designer, not realizing that it was a big deal, had flipped the picture to fit it better or whatever, and I was like, and we had proofed this thing like 3 or 4 times. And she's a great designer. I'm not. She just didn't know, that it made a difference.
Yeah.
And
it's like when
how did we all miss this? I was like, oh my gosh, Rachel, if that had gone to print, we would have died. Like, we would have died 1,000 deaths.
It's like
because it would have been the worst thing for a Phoenix.
Yeah.
I mean, for an orchestra to put out a photo of instruments backwards.
Well, and that,
because it was the first viola player. It wasn't our concertmaster, but I didn't recognize.
Our first, on the same line, when I was working in a design studio, and we worked with a lot of technical clients. This is important. So I did something with designing something with letters falling from something, and because the program did it, one of them ended up, it wasn't backwards, but it was kind of like not looking like a letter exactly, right? And she said, no, you can't do that. It's got to always read as that's a letter. And I said, okay. then how about on those notes over there that he's working on? They actually look like notes. That, some of those are backwards. Some of them are upside down. I said, just like you read a language, musicians read the music, and it's the same. And when they see it's upside down or backwards, it's like looking at
It's
a
gibberish.
letter. Yeah, it's like looking at a letter that incorrectly.
Yeah, so there's something called State 48 here. They make products, and
I saw a lady wearing a State 48 shirt. I
yeah,
don't know where we were.
So
the
State
grocery
48
store.
State 48 is
Yeah.
like a company itself.
Yeah.
And that's because we're the 48th state in the union, right? So there's this company that makes State 48 shirts, and then your organization can have its own State 48 shirt.
Mm-hmm.
So this year, the Phoenix Symphony made one, and they tried to have, because it says State 48, it's the shape of Arizona, and it says State 48, and then there's like a background, and you could like have people have different things, colors or different whatever. And so they were trying to make it symphony, and they put just clip art notes in the back, and I'm like, no, we will not do that. We will have real music. And so I went to the library, our librarian, and I was like, is there a version of Beethoven's Ninth that is copyright free that we could use? And she was like, yeah, probably this one. So it's, public domain, whatever. So I went through the score, and I found a page where like every instrument is playing, every single instrument. And we used that, and they sent it, and it's the background for the State 48. And then it says State 48, and then it says Phoenix Symphony up the side, and then it says right here Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. And I picked the page, and it looks great because when you look at it, you see that it is real music, and the notes are all oriented. There's nothing that drives me crazier than that, Eve. Like notes backwards, upside down, and or like when they actually have a strip of music, there's not enough beats in the measure, or they're
How about clefs? How about clefs being wrong?
That one kit that I have, the piano cat,
my place.
piano cat one. It's a cat sitting in. There's a piano, and then the cat's looking at some sheet music that's there on the piano. And so I was working on that, and the sheet music stuff is just backstitched. It's supposed to be the staff and some notes and like that. And I was looking at that, going, it's just fake. It's just squiggles, And so I was kind of trying on some of them. I was able to sort of like
make them look like
real notes, and the rest of some other stuff I was like, there's no way to do it because it's just the way it is. But so there's always like people that are like models, and they're supposed to be holding a violin or something, and they're like holding it wrong or holding it in the wrong way.
Oh my gosh! So there's an AI picture of a violinist, and she's beautiful, and her hair's flying, but her hands, because AI can't do fingers. When AI can do fingers one day, we're all going to be lost. But so you can tell still that it's fake. And the fingers are all messed up, and like her hand looks like it's so funny. But crap. And I was like, can we use her in our next brochure? But it's criminal when you see stuff like that. Like, stop it. Well, and that's the other thing. Like, I don't know if you've seen like videos where they're like knitting in movies, and they're just like, it's like, can't you get one soul on earth that understands something? Like, isn't there anyone you can ask? Or like in Hollywood, what do you have to pay someone $1 million to say, can you show someone how to knit realistically? I guess they don't want to pay for it, but I'm like,
but that's the thing, is they think it doesn't matter. When somebody looks at someone knitting or crocheting, all they see is needles doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not paying attention to what they're actually doing. So they want to say, oh, let's have a person over there knitting, because, for whatever reason, and they don't realize that if there's somebody who knits and sees that, they go, seriously?
Right.
That's like-
Okay. Funniest story about that. There was a quilted northern toilet paper commercial many years ago, and they were like quilted northern, and so it had these women sitting around. They were animated little line drawing cartoons of these women sitting around a sheet of like as though it's like a quilting bee. Right? They're like, let's do a quilting bee. Right? That's what I always think about these advertisers sitting in their office. Sorry, they're probably all men, but they're like, let's do a quilting bee. So we'll draw this, this sheet of toilet paper and these women working on the quilting because it's quilted northern. And the women were going like this with knitting needles, and I'm like, that's not quilting. That's not anywhere near quilting. And so a little while later, here comes a commercial. And they're actually quilting. So somebody must have said, "You idiots! That's not quilting."
Well, I always look very carefully at like whenever there's musicians on, in a movie or something, and it's very obviously the person is like totally faking it because they're just wiggling their fingers. There's no relation
shout out to Russell Crowe.
Yes.
Who actually learned to play the violin for Master and Commander.
Yes.
And he does really well.
Yeah.
He does really well.
Or like every once in a while, or
what about Simon, what's his face? Simon? Is that his name? The guy who played the piano in Florence Foster Jenkins, the movie?
Oh.
What's his name from Big Bang Theory? That little short guy.
Yeah, Simon Helberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a piano player. He already knew how to play the piano.
Yeah.
I guess, right? Because all his, I don't think he learned for the movie, but I think he's a real pianist, and so he was able to actually play.
Yeah, because he's done on Big Bang Theory. He played some stuff.
Yeah.
On a couple of occasions. But also what I don't know the lore whether how much Adrian Brody was playing or faking, how much of it because there's some for the movie The Pianist.
Oh yeah.
Because there are some scenes where it looks like he's really playing, but it could be like a lot of times they'll have like a dummy piano where it doesn't actually make any sound, and so the person playing the musician can move their hands more or less realistically, but not have to actually play.
Yeah. I wondered that about Hugh Grant in Music and Lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
I know that he really sang,
Mm-hmm.
but apparently I was like, did he sing in this movie? Is that really his voice?
Yeah.
And it is,
Yeah.
but it's auto-tuned. Because apparently he tried to sing, the last scene where he's at the concert and he's singing that song. He's like, no, let me do it. Let's just do it. But I guess it was bad, so they had to overdub it with him, auto-tuned or whatever.
Well, that's like in the movie My Fair Lady. Audrey Hepburn plays the Eliza Doolittle, and when they went to make the movie, of course they wanted to use her because she's a big name, and there's a clip somewhere of her singing when she sings to Freddie Arundel.
Words.
Yeah, yeah, and so that scene, there's a clip of her actual singing it, and she has a horrible voice, and so some girl, some uncredited poor girl sang all of her parts.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
she didn't sing that.
She didn't sing it.
Sing this. And you know what?
I'm so
They dubbed somebody's voiceover, and they didn't tell her, and she found out afterward.
Yeah.
Like at the premiere.
I don't know, but she found out afterward, and it reminded me of in
Singing
in the Rain.
Oh my
Nobody
gosh.
wanted to tell her that
She sucked.
that her
It's
voice
like
was horrible.
Florence Foster Jenkins, same thing, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm so disappointed. I thought that was her
Oh,
voice.
no.
All
Yeah.
these years, my life has been shattered.
Yeah, she was really sad.
But yeah, it was.
She couldn't tell that she was out of tune.
Oh,
well, I guess that her voice was really bad.
Yeah, I think she was basically, singing all the right notes, but just had, like just the quality of her voice was,
She's an actress. Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know. Now I have to go watch that movie again. Although I watched that movie and I think that movie wouldn't fly nowadays. It's awful.
Oh, yeah.
It's awful. How she's treated, how her father treats her, how those men treat her. Like,
why can't a woman be more like a man?
Oh my God. I mean,
yeah,
it's funny, but
neither would Gigi.
Well,
thank heaven for little girls.
Ew,
Like
creepy.
That's very creepy.
No, creepy. My favorite part of Gigi when she would say, "Hang it up." Like she couldn't even hang up the phone for herself. I love it. But anyway, I played the show, but yeah, no, that wouldn't fly.
Well, the thing is that it wouldn't fly today.
Oh, sorry.
But that's how it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's many men today that think that way.
Yeah, I was watching Working Girl, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Harrison Ford.
Melanie Griffith.
Melanie Griffith and Sigourney Weaver, right? Mm-hmm. Love the movie. Love the movie. But the women in the workplace thing, like I know it was a true picture back in what was the 80s, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I was thinking like Sigourney Weaver is a woman in power, right? But she still has to deal with all that crap. Like, unbelievable. And I'm watching it now as a... Like, I remember watching it in the 80s, and I've watched it that million times since. But the other day I was watching it, and I was thinking of my young colleagues at work, the two young ladies I work with. And I was just like, I mean, I thank goodness things have basically mostly, for the most part, changed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is how it used to be. You know? Like, getting chased around a desk was a thing. Like...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know it still is. But anyway, yeah.
They wouldn't do it so blatantly.
Right. Right. But anyway. Well, I'm not done with my pig yet, but here's the beginning of a pig. Can't tell it's a pig. I was like, I do not understand. When I started making this pattern, I'm like, I do not understand. Because you knit a little thing and you cast off. And then the very next row you cast back on. So you make like a little slit. But what it is these little things you fold them and they become the legs, and then this middle flap is the belly. Anyway, it's very kind of ingenious, honestly. So you make it this way, and then you fold up the legs and sew them up, and then it turns into a pig. I don't know. People design these things. But even though I'm not done with my pig, I better go. I've got to pack.
Yeah.
And
I've got to go take a nap.
You got to go take a nap because you're going to come pick me up at 3 a.m.
Yeah. And I got to pack and do cat maintenance because I'm taking care of Naomi's cats and Eve's going to,
throw food at your cats.
Food at my cats and her dog while she's at it because the dog expects kitty snacks.
Oh, here's a pro tip I learned from a guy that I watch, Norman. His channel's Nimble Needles. This is a piece of... Have you seen hair ties like this? There's like a little...
Oh, yeah.
Like a little... I don't know how anybody puts them in their hair because I just think my hair would get so tangled up. But they're little round hair ties that have coils like this. And you snip the coils apart and you get your needles like this. And you stretch that coil apart and you put it around your needles. And it holds your needles together. So you can get like 5 of these out of one little hair tie. And I've been using these ever since I got that tip and I went to the CVS or whatever and I got little hair ties. Isn't that ingenious? Mm-hmm. If there's only 2 needles and they're super skinny, they don't stick together. But anyway, I like that. So I'm off. Next week I will inundate you with a million pictures of Boston.
No, you won't.
But yes, I will. But I get to edit the video, so I get to put as many pictures as I want. What was I gonna say? Yeah, Eli's planning. Like we were like, I told him download TripAdvisor and go look at all the things that are to do in Boston, and we'll see if we can't find a few. But we're probably gonna do museums. He's actually really interested in the Museum of Fine Arts, and I told him about Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, which is so gorgeous. Mm-hmm. So I was like, let's do those. And Hannah sent us a whole culinary list of places we have to go eat while we're there. And Saturday night we're going to the concert of.
Is she coming back to Phoenix anytime this summer?
Yeah, midsummer, like July. And we're gonna go camping. But on Saturday night, we're going to go see Handel Haydn Society play all the Brandenburg concertos. I'm very excited about that. And then her recital Sunday night, and I got to figure out, I think I said this last week, I got to figure out how to do a reception post recital in a place where I have no control and no home. It's like not my house. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know what to do. Last year, because of the pandemic, they wouldn't allow us to do it wasn't the pandemic, but it was post, and they were still had everything. They didn't allow us to do receptions at the school, and now this year they are. So last year, what I did was I pre-ordered some stuff from this place called Italy, which is an Italian. I don't know what to call it. It's kind of like a grocery store, but it also has restaurants inside. And it's everything Italian, like all these Italian imports. I bought a panettone bread from last year at Christmas time, and they have pastry bars, amazing. They have like pizza joint. They have this beautiful Italian restaurants just stuck in the middle. But then like you can go buy meats and cheeses and all these imported candies and imported sauces and jams and jelly, like everything you could possibly. It's like a wonderland. But anyway. I had ordered a box of variety little pastries from them, and I was like, I will pick them up at 8:55, and I almost didn't make it because I basically, my friend drove me from the school over there, and I ran in. She's like, I was waiting for you. I'm like, I'm sorry, because it's about to close, you know. And then she just invited a few friends over to the lobby of our hotel, and we sat and we had desserts, but so this time it'll be better. But she's like, I don't like cookies. I'm like, what? So I think we're gonna do a cake from like Whole Foods. Oh, cute. Is that the snout?
Yeah, it's time for me to put in eyes, and since somewhere the backs aren't here, so I have to.
Oh no.
This thing is shedding all over me because I keep cutting.
Because it's the dog.
Yeah. I'm having to cut the yarn because it's too far apart now.
Yeah.
And so when I try to tie it, it falls apart and sheds all over me. So
I'm sorry.
That's why I have to cut it really long so that I have space for it to break.
Yeah. It's so cute. Well, we will be back next week. And
and you'll see 2 weeks of temperature chart.
Yeah, 2 weeks of temperature turtles.
And by the way, it was so hot yesterday that my son had to be relieved by another 2 people because it was so hot they were afraid that they were going to get heat stroke out there.
Man. That's bad.
Yeah.
It's getting hot. It's getting hot out there. And I thought Boston was going to be like 60s, 70s. No. The forecast for the 3 days we're there is 50-something.
I was going to say
40s at night, and
when you
I'm
were
going
talking
to freeze.
About Boston, I remember, we went there a few times when you were in school there, but I remember going for your recital because I couldn't go to the graduation. I had things going on with the symphony, so I went to Naomi's senior recital. And I played, Mark and I played with you for the encore or something like that. I don't remember. But it was freezing. It was March, and it was freezing, and especially like in the shadows of the buildings, whatever, there was still snow on the ground. Yeah. And we went out to see the USS Constitution,
Mm-hmm.
and the wind was howling. It was
I
so
know.
cold.
I know.
As I really remember, just
Yeah,
like
last
being
time
cold.
her last
everywhere.
rehearsal. I mean, her last recital for her senior recital was in April, right around her birthday, and it was cold like that. And I thought it was going to be toasty this time, but nope. Well, it'll be nice. I think. I think at least it's going to be dry.
Yeah.
I think. I gotta rethink what I'm wearing and all my clothes. And oh my gosh, I bought a shirt from Penny's. I went out and got like 4 tops and a sweater, and I only spent $88 because everything was on sale. The sweater I got is brown cotton cardigan. I've been looking for more cardigans, and it was $6 because it was in the clearance rack. Anyway, I bought these 2 neat shirts. And they're really cool, and they have like those loop buttons, and they have a little placket under the loop buttons. And I tried them on, and I'm mad about it, okay? I tried them on, and I was like, this fits nicely. I like this. I'm going to get this, and another one just like it in different color.
And now they're not warm enough?
No, that's not the problem. I went to wear one to work, and I put it on, and I'm like, this looks nice. And I walked out, got in my car, and sat down in my car. So this is a public announcement. Everything you buy, sit down in it at the store. So I sit down, and my little tummy was like, nope. It's a fly here. Nope. And like the shirt was like gapping and pulling, and I was like, no. And Eli's kind of mad because we were getting ready to go. I'm like, I cannot wear this shirt because what am I going to do? Sit in staff meeting and have my shirt like. So I went inside, took it off, grabbed the receipt and the other shirt just like it, and put it in a bag. And then that night I went back and I found the next size up, and I sat down in it at the store. So I know that it works. You just licked my hair. Can you see her? I don't even see her. You're so naughty. I bet you would like Pooh Bear.
She'll eat Pooh Bear. Be careful.
We eat him. I know. But anyway, so I was so mad. But anyway, I went back and got the new size. And
My toe still hurts where that little dog ran over my foot.
Oh, come on. Get over it.
all right. We will see you next week. Thanks for hanging out with us. Bye.
Bye.